Greetings, beautiful African people, wherever you are. Hope all of you are fine and things are working out for you in spite of the difficulties around. We know that we are special beings, we are wonderful beings, and that things will work out. Today, I'm going to continue sort of with an issue that I spoke of the other day when I was talking about why it's acceptable when we do our rituals or we do our ceremonies, when we have relationships or relate with our ancestors. Everything we as Africans do is evil. It's bad, right? It's primitive. Our conversation as Africans, when other people are talking of us, they always start our conversations on a negative tone. When they talk about us, they want to start talking about our criminals. Right? They want to talk about the criminal government, the politicians who are corrupt. They want to talk about the criminals amongst us. Oh, you blacks do this. Yeah, this blacks did, that black person did this, and that black woman did this and did that. But when they talk about their own issues, they want to bring the best of their stories. You don't hear about the mass murderers. Like let's not talk about the mass murderers. In America and other places, most mass murderers in America are white. But white people don't talk about, would never bring up that conversation. Hey guys, you know what? Yeah, we're mass murderers. Most school shootings. We're the guys who do it. Our kids are the ones who do it. See, everything about us. When they talk about voodoo, oh, it's evil. It's an evil religion. It's an evil. These are evil people. I talked about Nigeria, right? Oh, it's crazy because I've spoken to Caucasians or white people from different places, and they know about 419. They tell me about, oh yeah, the Nigerians, they're the guys who do the 419. And I'm like, excuse me, what are you talking about? Right? So when we talk about our spirituality, it's always on the negative side. Oh, your ancestors were evil. They used to do this. They used to do that. And they used to do this. And no one talks about the order that our spirituality brought, the progress, the harmony, different tribes living together. The intermarriages. No one talks about those positive or the rich culture that everything that our spirituality, our culture, our history. No one talks about that, and no one talks about the artifacts that they stole from our ancestors, made by our ancestors. I was telling someone the other day that if major museums in the world, in the UK, in America, and other European countries, if they were to return all the things they stole from Africa, those museums will close. Those museums will close. Whenever I go to these museums in these countries and I see the artifacts, I see these spiritual carvings with a great meaning done by our ancestors, and yet think about the narrative, what blacks were told then and what they're told today, that they were evil people. They are evil people, they are ungodly people. Then why take things that belong to ungodly people and put them on display? Isn't that a question that you as an African should answer? Not them, but you should ask yourself that question and answer it. But anyhow, what am I talking about today right now? I'm talking about our spirituality. And I want to talk about, I've read, and you might have read or seen on YouTube or other places, where Africans have been caught like having buried a dead body in a church somewhere, especially where the altar is. And if you, as an African, if you don't understand your religion, your so-called religion, the slave religion, this foreign religion called Christianity, if you don't understand it, you won't understand what those leaders are doing. You'll think, oh, this is a spiritual thing. They're doing some demonic things. They're doing some sacrifice. They're doing all this. And I've watched videos on YouTube. I've listened to people, and they said, oh, we found. And the entire communities, people come out and they protest and they say, how could they do this? How could they do that? The thing is, everyone involved, apart from the leaders, they are ignorant of what is going on. What's going on? Why would a bishop, right, in Africa somewhere, or a preacher in Africa, decide, or a church somewhere, or some elders decide to bury people in the church? Do you know why? Now, is it not interesting if I told you that this was a common practice in the UK? It was a common practice within Christians in Europe to bury people in the church. I used to go to a church someplace in London some years ago, and one of my friends, Caucasian friend, one of my white friends, one day we were leaving the church, and he was like, "Hey, do you know there are people who are buried in the church?" I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, there are people who are buried in there. Do you know that?" And I said, "No." I said, "Next time when you go back there," and he told me where to check. There are people buried there. I could not believe it. I was like, this is not. I mean, like, this is crazy. And the reason why I thought it was crazy is I'm a theologian, right? And studied Christian theology for years and years. But I think none of that was part of my studies. So I remember years visiting. I visited one of the great. I say great. I remember visiting Westminster Abbey, and I saw certain things which I thought were a bit off, but it didn't occur to me to think of it like these burial places within the church, inside the church. I didn't think of it that way. So when this guy told me this, as an African, I was like, "Yo, what's going on here?" So I decided the following Sunday to check. So I just walked in and I went round checking, and true to his word, there were several of people buried in the church. I was like, this is something else. The church pews, we were literally, as we were sitting down, underneath us were dead people. There were skeletons of people. People were buried underneath us. As we were singing our hymns, with our families, with our friends. There were buried people underneath. There were graves underneath, literally in the church, not outside. Outside, I knew outside because there were several graves. It looked like a cemetery outside. But I'm talking about inside. They've been practicing this, or they had been practicing this before they came to Africa. It's a practice. They know why they do it, right? That's part of their ritual, right? They know exactly why they do it. So whenever you see Africans trying to emulate them, trying to copy them, and don't think that it's far-fetched. Don't think they're doing something that is off. They're just following what their masters have been doing for years, hundreds of years, and thousands of years. It's normal for them. But as an African, I'd like to ask you this question as an African. Would you feel comfortable doing it? Would you feel comfortable knowing that you're sat in church, listening to the preacher, and right beneath you is a grave? Is someone buried right beneath you? But it's listen, but it's normal for them. So when I talk about, and when we talk about Christianity being a cultural thing, right? Christianity comes from their culture, and they have rituals, they have certain practices, they have certain traditions. They have certain norms within that culture or within that religion itself. So Africans, they involve themselves with stuff, with things that they know not of. If you ask, like, how many preachers in Africa know that? All they see, all they saw, were these missionaries. Did they tell them, hey guys, yeah, we've been sent by Christ, but what we want to tell you is we bury people in church, and we actually, we put a floor, and we act as if there are no graves in the church. How would you feel if someone told you that the house that you live in, that there's a grave underneath? How would you feel as an African? Would you go like, it's a normal thing, man, the person is dead. They're dead. See, here, in holistic African spirituality, see, we bring receipts, right? We just don't talk about stuff, right? I have evidence, and I will drop you some links. I've got some photos there for you to see, and this was these stories actually they came from 2 newspapers in the UK, and you can see for yourself. You can also check and do research for yourself and for your brothers and sisters to see where these lovely people, these godly people, to see their practices, and then ask yourself this question, right? What would happen if you were to turn the tables? I come from a tribe, the tribe that I come from in Africa. This tribe, they so much, the way they dealt with dead bodies, you are not even supposed to point, leave alone touching. You're not supposed to point. You couldn't even point. I remember even growing up as a kid, we wouldn't point at a grave. We would just literally, like, if you're talking to, say, where my grandfather was buried, we would just look at the grave, but we would not point at it. They had a very interesting relationship with the dead, and no one would even think of, hey, yeah, let's bury grandpa underneath our place of worship. So Africans, why do people hate our practices? Why do you hate your practices, your spirituality, your rituals? But you run to involve yourself with other people's rituals. I won't be surprised. I will not be surprised if these major cathedrals in Africa, there are countless dead bodies buried underneath. Why? They're just following the script. That's what they've been doing for hundreds of years and thousands of years. Because that's not strange when it comes. It's not strange to them. It's a norm. It's normal. Hey, it's not a big deal. Come on, sit down. Sit down. How many people are buried here? Like, you will see one of the photos that I'm going to post here. Like, you see all those skeletons, all those skulls and everything. They were underneath the church. But upstairs people are singing. They are children, they are men, they are women, they are singing, they are praising God, they are praising Jesus. And then you, as an African, you involve yourself with that without knowing what it means, without understanding the consequences of such actions. But you demonize the very practices of practice by your ancestors, the very people who brought you here on earth. Is there? I don't know whether I haven't come across any people group in Africa where they used to bury people under their own place of worship or under the altars. I have never come across, because Africans have always had a very interesting relationship with the dead, right? So when we talk about this, not only but other people, when we talk about this, I'm not talking about just something that I've read. I can take you to that church. I think it's nearly 900 years old, built of 900 years ago. There are people right now, as I'm recording this, there are people buried there. They haven't changed. And next Sunday, people are still going to go to that church and they're going to sing. They're literally performing or doing their worship or praise, right, on top of graves. So when the African starts doing, I don't know, this ritual and that ritual, and you start seeing people, I don't know, this pastor buried someone and the police arrested him, and it's a big thing. They should just come out and say, hey, why are you arresting me, man? This is maybe they'll arrest because of unlawfully killing someone, which of course it's a crime. But let's even take it that the person died because of natural causes, and they're like, oh yeah, the guy died because of natural causes, and was like, yeah, you can bury us in the church, just underneath the altar. That's cool. We like that. That's fine. We can praise and we can sing all these praise and worship songs. Do you see what we're talking about? Do you see what I'm saying? I'm not against, and I'm saying this, I'm not against them, and I can't point a finger at them. The reason is that I might have a little understanding as to why they do it, but I don't know where the kind of covenants they've involved themselves in with whichever world, this world or the world gone or the world to come. I do not know why, and it's not my business. It's my business to sort of understand it in a way, because I talk about these things, but it's not my business to go so deep. It's my business to go deep into my own rituals. As an African, it's my business to understand my spirituality. That's what I'm saying. You as an African must understand your spirituality, because on earth there's a war of gods. Gods are fighting. There's a war of gods, right? there's a war of beings, spiritual beings, and each people group, they have a way of identifying with whichever being. And as an African, you are identifying yourself with the being of other people. And so by default, you become a slave. You enslave your spirit, you enslave your soul, you enslave everything. Yo, check this out because it's very, very, very interesting. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe. Bye bye.